let's talk about my game. So, in round 7, I played against, let's have a look, Olga Dvorakova. This was the first time for me that I was playing against someone lower rated, so it feels a bit different. You're most of the times not happy with an equal position. But okay, also the black pieces, I cannot, expect too much from the opening. So she played the move d4. Oh, that's already on the board. Well, spoiler. Didn't realize. d4, d5, c4, c6. So this time I decided to go for the Slav. I really was not in the mood, especially against the lower-rated player, to go for Queen's Gambit. I was not having that. And I figured this could lead to some exciting positions, something that I would like. Knight c3, knight f6, e3, e6, knight f3, knight bd7. This is all normal developing moves. Queen c2, bishop d6, b3, short castle, bishop e2. I actually didn't know that bishop e2 is, okay, it's obviously a good move, but I thought bishop d3 is, mostly played, but she played bishop e2. Maybe it's because if you play bishop d3, then you'll be hit by e5 even harder. It will not be so easy for white to deal with that, I guess. It's not so great. And with bishop e2, your bishop is safe and sound. Yeah, so basically the opening, obviously I saw her games, and she plays these kind of lines. She didn't have a lot of games in the database, so it was kind of guessing what she would play. But I assumed it would be more or less this type of structure. And I saw one of her opponents, actually not a very high rated player, but like, I think the opponent was like 1700 rated or something. And I saw the opponent playing a system like this, and then play the move e5, which I also played. And now you would say, hey, you're allowing your opponent to take on e5 and d5, you'll have an isolated d-pawn, and that is probably not, what you're looking for. But that's exactly what I was looking for. Because, so I saw my opponent's games, and especially in this tournament, I noticed that my opponent just loses every game where the opponent is attacking them. Especially, there are many positions where the opponent had an isolated queen's pawn, and this allows you to, start attacking most of the times on your opponent's king. That's typically the idea. I thought, well, if I get such position and if I can attack, that means we can actually, do something here rather than just sit and wait for, pray for the best. So it was actually my idea all along to go for this type of position. C takes d5, c takes d5. I was surprised by knight b5. Apparently it is a normal move, but I thought, what is that? Typically you don't want to play such moves because at some point I'll pay a 6 and you have to go back, and it's like you wasted a move. But I guess it's better than simply taking on e5. Okay, not by a lot, but yeah, I guess it activates my bishop a bit more. And after knight b5, bishop b4 check, and I guess this bishop is just not great anymore, so you want to trade the bishops off the board, and that's exactly what happened in the game. But my opponent took on d2 with the queen, and that is interesting because you would want to keep your queen on c2 because, well, it's an open file. You want to keep controlling that. And yeah, it's hard to see where this knight is actually going to. But okay, if you take with the knight, then I guess your knight is also a bit awkward. So I guess it makes sense she took with the queen. I feel like both options are just not great. Okay, queen takes d2. I played e4 because I thought, well, I'd like to have a lot of space. Thank you. She played knight e5. Seems like a good move because, if I take, pawn takes, I might have some problems with my pawn on d5. It's very vulnerable. The square d4 is extremely weak, so my opponent could put a knight there or even a queen. So, yeah, that's very tricky. So, obviously, I don't take, and I decided to play queen e7. Simply attack the knight. And here you might think, oh, you're allowing knight c7, which looks a bit annoying. But my idea was going to be here that I would take on e5. And, well, my rook is hanging, right? But the trick is here that you play knight c6. And this knight is not going anywhere. This knight is trapped. And soon you'll develop this bishop somewhere like f5. And then you'll simply capture the knight. It cannot move, and wherever it goes to, you just capture it. And there's no way that white can save the knight. So then you'll end up with two minor pieces for the rook, which is much better for the person with the minor pieces. So yeah, that was my plan pretty much after knight c7, but she didn't play it, which makes sense because it was not great. I played queen e7 and she took on d7, which was a bit surprising. I mean, I did not expect her to take, but I mean, as I'm saying this, I actually don't know what you do with the knight. Like, maybe you can play, I don't know. I guess f4 is not what you're looking for. It weakens a lot of squares. You can play en passant, and then e4 square will be favorable to the knight. I guess queen b2, you can defend the knight even more, but yeah, it feels a bit shaky. I mean, I'm trying to figure out why white would be going for this line, because I like my position a lot. I mean, you guys are saying that, you know, knight b5, etc. is like the top moves, but I have a hard time to see what is really nice about this line for white. So knight takes d7, bishop takes d7, short castle, and a6. Well, I wasn't sure if I had to kick out the knight already, but I figured that the knight has to go back to c3, and at least the c file will be blocked by the knight. I tried drawing an arrow. There we go. The c file will be blocked by the knight, more or less. So I'll have some time to, you know, control the c file myself, put some rooks there. I don't know, something like that. So I played rook ac8, rook fc1, and here I spent quite some time because I was like, okay, I have a lot of space. I'm the one that has a very active position. And I'm the one that can decide what to do now. But I look at the options and I'm just not happy with what is going to happen. Because I tried, you know, I considered moves like queen a3, queen b4, but every time there would be trades, there would be positions that I don't like. I don't know, it was just not enough, because my opponent simply plays rook c2 and rook c1. And I'm just not able to make use of some sort of tactics anywhere. The position is just very solid for white, and I don't really have any entry points other than just dropping my queen on a3. But it really doesn't do much there. Like one move like knight d1 or something, and there will be trades, and you're like, yeah, I mean, it was really hard to see for me how I could actually make progress on the queen side. So that's when I thought, let's focus on the king side. h5, alla alfa 0. And I also thought, because typically when you're playing a low-rated player, you have to try attacking. It scares them. That's what I've been taught when I was younger. You're playing a low-rated player, attack them. Just attack their king. And the mistakes will come by themselves because they get confused, they get scared, stuff like that. And that's more or less what happened pretty much. She played move h4, which I would say is it makes sense. She's trying to stop my h-pawn, and she's trying to stop g5 as well. But I feel like it's a positional mistake, because this allows me to put pieces on the square g4. And that's exactly what we're going to see in the next few moves. I played queen d6. I actually had no idea what to do here. Because my move g5 is not working anymore right now. So I played a move queen d6 because at some point I'll get my knight to g4 and I'll attack, I'll threaten queen h2, you know, stuff like that. So I thought, let's put my queen on d6. Also make sure that the pawn d5 will be defended if my knight gets to g4, you know. So yeah, I was just preparing the attack pretty much. I played queen d6 and my opponent went for bishop f1, which is not a great move, because this allows me to play the move that I've been dying to make. Knight g4. Okay, there we go. Knight g4. And yeah, I'm simply threatening checkmate in one. So she has to play move g3 pretty much. I mean, the alternatives are not great. I mean, f4, you don't want to play f4. You do not want to play f4. G3. And here I spent quite some time figuring out what do I do with my life, because her idea is to put a knight on f4. So knight e2, knight f4. Whatever happens, she puts a knight on f4, and I'll have a very hard time playing around it, attack on the king side. I mean, maybe I'm able to do that, but I was having a hard time seeing how I play around this knight, and also how do I get rid of this knight, because it's a very great piece on f4. My bishop is on a light square, so my bishop cannot capture it. So if the knight gets to f4, and this bishop and this knight will be traded against each other, I'll have a problem, because I will not be able to capture this knight with my bishop, so I'll have to take it with the rook, and then it's not so clear, really. I mean, obviously, I should be better still, but that was my thought process. So I was thinking about the move g5 directly, but what I didn't like is that takes h4 and simply move like knight e2. And I didn't really like my position. I mean, I must be better here, but I felt like it was a bit, I mean, funnily enough, it was a bit slow. I mean, you're attacking directly, but because of this knight, I'm not so sure if I'm fast enough. Because this knight gets to f4 and then, I don't know. It's tricky. So, that's why I did go for g5. Now, because I was so pissed at this knight, I did consider the move rook takes c3. But obviously it makes no sense. I mean, you don't have a clear attack just yet. It's not like your pawns or like your queen is right here or something that you can just take on c3 and then continue attacking. My attack has barely started yet, so I'm not able to afford this rook sacrifice. I did consider it, but I thought it makes little sense. Queen takes c3 or something, and then queen c5, queen c7, and soon there will be trades, and I'll just be worse. I just can't attack. So yeah, I did consider it. So I went for the move f6. I tried to take it easy. Why not prepare to move g5? The reason why I played this is because I played g5 and your knight is not getting to f4. It's not going there. And I'm not in a rush to take on h4. I'll take on h4 whenever I'm ready, whenever I feel comfortable. And yeah, there will be a lot of opportunities, you know? So I figured just taking it easy is the best. And yeah, as long as I'm stopping knight f4, I'm happy, you know? So she went for move knight e2. Funnily enough, so I did consider this. It looks a bit scary, but after knight takes d5, it looks like I'm losing the pawn. But white simply loses the knight. I mean, there's bishop c4, but you just take on c4. And once again, black will have two minor pieces for the rook and the pawn. And white will have, you know, a lot of activity. I mean, the pawns here are a bit scary, but my attack is so strong. Like, I was thinking of playing queen d6 here. Apparently queen f5 is much better, but I thought queen d6 and I'm threatening knight e5, knight f3, you know, like a bit tricky. But yeah, this is simply not good. There's no way that this can be good. My bishop is really good at defending over here. My knight is super strong. At some point I'll play g5, not here, here. And white will have a lot of problems. So I was pretty sure that this was not good. So he played knight e2. And I played g5, obviously. So here, what I didn't like, I mean, I did consider rook takes c1 myself, but I thought, nah, let's not bother. Whatever. We'll be fine. So I just played g5. I just want to play it. And then she took on c, and I was like, I don't like this. I actually don't like this. Rook c1, and do I take or no? Why is rook a8 a move? What? Rook takes c1 is a top move. And then second, which is the same evaluation, rook 8. No. Oh, it's because, oh my god, that's so silly. So rook a8, queen c3 is the, okay, it was in the line queen c3 and rook c8, queen d2. And then you take on c1. That was the line I was suggesting. Okay, that's just weird. But I wasn't sure if I take or no, because I kind of need my rook on f8 to attack the pawn on f2 in case the f file opens, which, you know, there's a big chance it might happen. But what I didn't like is the activity my opponent is getting here. Because my pawn d5, it remains a weakness. I have to be careful with that pawn. I know that I have a light square bishop that can easily defend it, but still there will be positions where the knight will jump to c5, the queen will jump to a5, rook on to c5, and this pawn is not gonna survive for too long, you know? And I figured also queen c3, queen c7. I didn't like that this rook was gonna get very active, because if I would play, for example, okay, imagine bishop h3, I'm just making some moves, queen e6, and then suddenly rook c7, and here I'm not sure what's going on, because, I mean, I could play queen f5, sure, but queen e1, and this rook is just staying there, just standing there and bothering me, you know? I couldn't really see how I can make use of this rook, so I figured, I guess let's just trade it. I was not happy with that, because I thought if I trade pieces, that means my attack will be less strong, which means that I might get in trouble for my super exposed king here. So rook takes c1, queen takes c1, and here I went for queen e6 because obviously my idea is to play queen f5. And yeah, I was really not happy with the situation. I mean, I know I'm better still. Okay, it's not a lot better anymore, but I know I have the initiative, obviously. My pieces are active. But look at this queen. Sooner or later it will infiltrate on c7, and it gets really, really scary. And my attack might not be so strong anymore, especially if my opponent gets rid of the knight. So what I was thinking here was bishop h3, queen f5, take, queen c7. And here I was not sure what's going on, because this knight will soon jump to c3, attack my pawn on d5, and I don't know what's happening. I mean, obviously I can take here, but yeah, knight c3. And I'm not sure what's going on. I'm actually not sure. And the worst part of all of this is that the queen is defending the pawn. But what's also terrifying is that knight takes d5, it threatens knight takes f6. So I really, really, really dislike this. However, my opponent was really, really nice enough to play queen c7, allowing me to play queen f5, and f2 is not defendable. She was really devastated when she played this. I mean, when I played queen f5, because I'm pretty sure something went wrong in her calculations. I'm pretty sure she calculated this bishop h3 line, and in her head, queen c7 was one of the moves, but she played it first, queen c7, and that allows me to play queen f5, and nobody can get rid of my knight, because I'm just gonna take f2. Maybe there's also a chance that she simply was afraid I would play bishop c6, and then she might have a hard time infiltrating or something. But you can always play queen c5, queen a7, I guess. Or I don't know. Maybe she was feeling more ambitious after queen c7. But yeah, obviously it just drops queen f5, and yeah. I was pretty happy because I was not sure how to convert this. So this is around move 25. I was doing much better on the clock this game. But at this point, I think we were both around 10 minutes on the clock, or 15. No, not 15. More like 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes. So I was really happy that she allowed this, because I was like, oof, imagine, in time trouble, things can go wrong. Bishop g2 is what she played. Queen takes f2, king h1, bishop e6. I was still very scared, though. I have to say, I was still very scared of messing up somehow, one way or the other. Queen d8, king g7, h takes g5, queen takes e2, simply getting rid of that knight. G takes f6, king... Oh, no, I just took... Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that, if the knight stays here, I have simply queen e1, and soon there will be checkmate. But I just wanted to have, like, some peace of mind. I was quite terrified that something might happen. Every single move, I was looking at where can the queen move. Every single move, I was like, okay, queen e7, bishop f7. Is there any other move that can happen after that? That's a bit scary. No. Queen c7. What is happening after that? Every single move, I was calculating 20 times because I was so scared to mess up. Queen c7 was played, king g6, queen f4, queen d1 check, king h2, knight g4, king h3, knight takes, king h2, and queen e2. And here she resigned because I'm simply threatening checkmate, and it is pretty much impossible for her to stop me from giving checkmate. I mean, she will lose a lot of material. So, yeah, that was round 7. I'm really, really happy with this game. Not only because, I mean, I won, but especially because I was doing so much better on the clock. It was so relieving to just play moves and feel comfortable. I mean, obviously my opponent helped a lot, but I'm just proud of what I have done,